So right now you are probably a consumer on TikTok and you have no idea how to even start creating on the platform, especially if you are new to this journey or even if you're a seasoned pro. I do want to give you a simple formula and strategy so that you can take one content idea and spread it out as much as possible so that you can post every single day on TikTok this week. And let's be honest, it's going to make TikTok content creation a lot less overwhelming, a lot less time consuming, and it's just going to make it that much easier. And it's actually something that I like to call the 5x1 method. Now, I don't want this to overwhelm you, and don't worry, I'm going to give you the super secret formula and the breakdown of how you're going to accomplish this for your small business, but it starts with the foundation of one really strong content idea. So let's dive into that before we get into the formula of the 5x1 method. This is where those generic content ideas are actually not going to work. Those day in the life, behind the scenes, or like anything else that you hear on the internet. Instead, we really need to lean into something that's very strategic for your business, and there's a couple of different ways to do this. We really need to lean into your knowledge, your expertise in the problems that you're solving for your customers, your clients, and basically creating a content idea that's also going to kind of help you sell more. There are a few criteria to consider and a couple of different ways to approach this. So the first thing we need to think about when coming up with the content idea is that it should actually be evergreen in nature. And what I mean by this is something that's going to be relevant today and 6 months from now, a year from now. That's all that evergreen means. Just think of like evergreen trees. So to give you a quick example, in my industry, I could give you social media updates or the latest algorithm update from Instagram or what changed on Twitter. That is not going to be relevant 6 months from now. But let's say I create a piece of content showing you how to create a content strategy for a small business. That is foundational knowledge, my expertise, my opinions that aren't going to change in 6 months to a year's time. And overall, approaching a content idea from an evergreen standpoint is just going to help you repurpose it even further that week or even down the line. And you're not relying on something timely like news or updates or even a trend. The second thing that we need to think about when coming up with this content idea is it could or possibly should address a pain point, an FAQ, or an objection that your clients or customers have. Now, what I mean by this is we're not just going to sit here and do like fear-inducing, fear tactic marketing. Instead, we want to address those questions that typically come up when somebody wants to work with you or buy your product or hire you. Think of all those things that come up in discovery calls and sales calls or what people are DMing you on Instagram. You can also start to think about the problems that you're solving. How can we turn any of those into a good piece of content? This is always a great place to find content ideas because vast majority of the time, I guarantee you got a lot of questions coming your way, and it is going to really tackle this aspect of marketing and this aspect of the buyer journey to help people make that decision faster to buy from you as well. And now the third thing that you can do, if all else fails, if you can't seem to come up with a content idea with method 1 and 2, we can lean into search engines. And now I don't want you just to go into Google or Pinterest or wherever and just type in, give me a content idea for a hairstylist. Instead, I really want you to think about your niche. Maybe you are a curly hair specialist or you specialize in blonde balayage. Head to those search bars and start typing in your specific niche. As you're typing, you're gonna see other search terms or things that people are searching. It's gonna pop up below. And then even when you hit that enter bar, you're gonna see things on Google like people also ask. These are great questions to be answering in your content because people are already searching for them. People are already looking for these answers. And if you can be the one to deliver that answer in a piece of content, especially for free, people are really going to resonate with that and gravitate towards you. So now that you have your content idea and we've run through some ideas of how to help you get that content idea, I actually want to get into the formula of what this 5x1 method looks like. And remember, going back to the introduction of this video, the 5x1 method is simply taking one content idea and stretching the life of it to help you post throughout the week. So here's how it's going to go. We're going to be posting Monday through Friday, and I want to break down the formula for each and every day this week. So on Monday, I want you to take that content idea and create, I know it's going to be scary, a talking head video where you are just talking directly to camera about whatever that content idea is about, whatever that topic is about. And speaking directly to camera might feel a little awkward at first and you might need a little bit of practice, but these videos on TikTok perform so well. They also do not have to be super polished. I do recommend adding some captions, subtitles, and text on the screen, but you can literally just use your iPhone, record it like you're talking to your best friend on FaceTime, And it doesn't have to be super long. You can keep it 30 to 60 seconds. I'm a bit more long-winded, so my talking head videos extend into the 1-2 minute mark. But if you can get your point across with that content idea in 30 seconds, by all means, do it. And this is where you can really go in depth and really talk about and educate, give your knowledge, tips, tricks, expertise, storytelling, whichever avenue you want to go. We just want to present it to people in a talking format. So now moving into Tuesday, I want you to take that same content idea, that same topic and the messaging behind it, and find a trend to jump on. I know, again, a little bit scary, but sometimes this might be a little bit easier. So maybe there is a visual trend going on TikTok or an audio-based trend. This does not mean you have to get up and dance and do skits or anything like that. It can be as simple as lip syncing to an audio that's like 5 seconds long. But just start to analyze and find a trend that you think would fit your messaging of that content idea and that you're comfortable producing, and just jump on the trend. Moving into Wednesday, this one actually might feel a little bit more natural for you to create, especially if you're creating on Instagram already. We're going to create a carousel. Yes, a photo-based carousel on TikTok. These are actually performing really well right now. You can take exactly what you said in that video that you posted on Monday, that talking to camera video, and use the text, use the dialogue, use whatever you said, and just put text on top of pictures inside of the TikTok app. You don't have to use Canva. By all means, you can if you want to. You don't need some crazy design app, but instead upload between like 3 to 10 different pictures, put text on the screen. It's so easy to do this inside of the TikTok editor, and post it as a carousel. Yes, just as a photo-based carousel. No video required here. Thursday, we're getting a little bit of a break. This one's typically a bit easier for you to post. We are going to take a piece of B-roll and put text on the screen. When it comes to B-roll, essentially what this is just like a video of anything that you want. You can use the stock video, even though this isn't as like personal, it might not be as branded to you, or it could literally be a 7-second clip of you working behind the scenes. It could be a time lapse of you creating your product. It doesn't matter, but we want to keep the clip around 7 seconds long. And then literally all you're going to do is take that content idea, the main message, the main point, keep it pretty short and succinct, and put that as text on the screen. Find a fun song that you like. You can find a trending song if you like to maybe potentially help boost your views. But essentially, this is just an easy and quick piece of content to create. And again, we're just giving it a new spin, a new format. Now, on Friday, this one might be a bit more of a challenge, especially if you are newer, but there is a feature on TikTok where you can respond to comments with a video. Now, if you've received comments or questions or there's dialogue happening on one of your posts from Monday through Thursday, I want you to use that to create a new video on Friday. So if somebody asks a question, I want you to do a video response to that comment and answer that question on video. I do typically like to see you responding to these by looking at the camera and talking again, but you can also just put text on screen, B-roll, whatever works best for you. But start to address some of those questions that might come up or engage in a dialogue that people are having in your comment section. Now, before you ask the question, you're gonna be like, what if I don't get any comments? Or what if the comments aren't worthy of a response? Listen, I totally get that, especially if you're newer, you're not always gonna see the comments flooding in. What you can actually do, and what I recommend that you do, is head to some of your competitors or people in your niche. Go to some of their top performing videos and see what questions people are asking there. See what dialogue is happening there. Now, technically, you can respond to comments on other people's videos with a video yourself. I don't always recommend this because sometimes it's seen as icky or spammy, or some people just don't like you doing that in their comment section. Instead, what I like to do is if somebody's asking a question on one of my competitors' videos and they haven't gotten around to answering it yet, I'm just going to create a video about that. I'm not necessarily responding to their comment. I'm not jumping into their comment section, but I'm going to use that as fuel to create a piece of content for myself, especially if I know how to answer it or I have a unique perspective. So again, on Friday, we are simply just responding, adding to a dialogue in the comment section on TikTok, because this is one of the biggest things that's different about TikTok is that comment section is a goldmine, not only for content ideas, but a lot of the community building aspects and a lot of the culture on TikTok is actually in the comment section. So now that we've gone through how to create the content idea, the actual method itself, I want to talk to you a little bit about your content creation workflow and how you're actually going to achieve this every week. Using this method, I actually recommend that you plan, you don't have to create, but plan a quarter at a time, so 12 weeks at a time. This is going to help this method not feel too overwhelming while also not flying by the seat of your pants trying to do this every single week. So what this looks like, once a quarter, I want you to put in your calendar, sit down, spend some time to create just 12 content ideas. Yes, you only need 12 for the quarter if you're following this method. Now, coming up with these content ideas, I want you to keep a couple of things in mind. Number one, think of the sales campaigns, the promotions that you might be doing, anything you're launching, new products, new offers, new services, whatever that looks like, gear your content ideas around that. So if you're in a launch period, you're obviously going to want to create content that's geared more towards that product or that offer or that service. Whereas maybe you have a big industry event that's happening in 4 weeks. You might want to be doing coverage of that, and your content idea might be geared more towards that. Think about holidays, time off, whatever else is going on in your calendar, keep that into account as you're planning out these 12 content ideas. And lean into certain research tools or just scroll through TikTok and see how people are using the app. See how people are responding. Just see where the potential content gaps are and how you can fill them. So now that we've got the content ideas planned a quarter in advance, let's talk about like a weekly content creation method. Ideally, I would love you to batch as much of this content as possible, but the nature of this method might require you to kind of create more in the moment, and it might be hard to plan every single aspect of those pieces of content. Instead, once a week, I want you to loosely script out your 5x1 method so that you at least have a general idea or a general plan for the week ahead. Of course, if you can record anything, create anything in advance, I always recommend that you do so through a method called content batching, where essentially you just sit down and kind of create it all at once. But it's okay if you're not ready for that yet. You are more than welcome to just kind of create in the moment every single day. I recommend just knocking it out first thing in the morning, getting it posted, and then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the day. But now at least you have a formula or methodology for showing up on TikTok every single day. And I can give you all the tips, tricks, and hacks on how to create your content creation workflow, but you just need to find your groove and find what works best for you. So this is the perfect method to get started on your TikTok content creation journey, or if you felt like you can't be consistent on TikTok, this is a great method for you as well. Now, obviously in this video, I use TikTok as the example because it's often the one people struggle with the most, but this strategy really does translate across platforms. Because the magic behind the 5x1 method is truly content repurposing. And it just helps increase the shelf life of the content that you're creating without a ton of extra effort or having to take a bunch of time to create content or come up with a new idea every single day. That is beyond exhausting and overwhelming, even coming from me as a content strategist, where it is literally my job to create and post content. So if you're wanting to dive into content repurposing a bit deeper, take this a little bit further, I recommend that you guys grab the content repurposing guide, where I walk you through all of the different strategies that I use to repurpose content. And there's a bonus PDF where I give you over 100 different content repurposing ideas. So if you liked this 5x1 method, you're going to learn even more about repurposing your content and increasing the shelf life, getting more reach, and again, making content creation a whole lot less overwhelming. You guys can grab it at the link in the description below. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week, and don't forget to hit subscribe.